And first of all, I've been studying this issue and the rights also in Tanay. It's a special protected area. And now they're saying that the BuCor has a newly minted title. I understand it's not that easy to get a title. So how do you think this was done?
That's also something that we hope will be investigated. As early as 2002, like what we've mentioned, it's already subject to a joint venture agreement with Blue Star, which is our mother firm that has been restoring that area since then, no? And for decades now. As early as 2009, the Secretary of DNR has also made the direction for the area clear, asking for the Bilibid person to be moved to a different site because it is already subjected to private rights and to prior projects. So the follow-through there is really something that we want to look at. This direction was already given to the DNR regional director during that time, who also happens to be the current regional director for the area. So we hope that that one is closed and investigated on a little more.
But just to be clear on that, Anne, and just to clarify, you said that as early as 2009, you had already tried to communicate, not pushing through, if I understand that correctly, with plans to relocate or to use the area by the Bureau of Corrections. Did we get that right?
This is something that we have communicated as early as 2006 when we heard about the proclamation.
Okay.
And this is already something communicated by DNR by 2009 in many of its documents and correspondences.
And then but I asked just to clarify because while we do try to clarify ownership, how they got the title and all of that, I'm sure, plus the environmental impact matters. For that matter, what that essentially also means is that this is not necessarily a new topic. That as early as 2006 or 2009, there were already, at the very least on the table, concepts or suggestions that this is something that the Bureau of Corrections had been considering, and that you are aware of this as early as then.
Yes, but it never exactly became an issue, no? Because the proclamation itself says that it will respect private rights. So it only started surfacing as an issue this 2022. We've been seeing movements, and ito nga ultimately leading to a freshly minted title just this September 2022. So this is really all coming at the heels of really being able to close down the quarry just early this February. And, many of the other land speculation incidents that have happened in recent time. So it also is really quite alarming, no, the timing and the circumstances around it, considering that for over a decade now, this has been a quiet and to an extent a resolved issue, no?
Now, in the meantime, the Department of Environment, Natural Resources seems to be at the center of all of this. Not only is it the authority that should be concerned about environmental impact, but also in terms of the titling of this. Have you spoken with the Department of Environment, and what did they say?
We haven't had a chance to speak with the department or the department secretary. This is something that we've been calling for some time now, particularly convening the oversight committee and appointing an appropriate project manager for the Masungi Geopark project, which should be able to help us deal with all of these coordinations, process the permits necessary, conduct enforcement in the area, which we know have been, the issues surrounding the area in recent time. No? So once that project manager is appointed, a lot of these issues should be, much easier to deal with and resolve. We also really call on Secretary Yulo to look into this a bit more and really speak with us, because as far as our documentation goes, the last DNR secretary to convey communication on this, which was Secretary Atienza, was clear that the Bilibid prison site must be moved to a different location.
Tell us all about Lot 10. If the BuCor puts up a penitentiary here or their general headquarters, what could exactly be in danger?
Well, what we're endangering really is the bulk of the rock spine of the karst formation. So, bulk of the rock spine is found inside Lot 10. This is why we say it's not buildable. It's a lot of pinnacle karst formations, very pointed rocks, no? And for you to be able to develop that area to an extent, you will have to level, or at least extract those rocks somehow, no? So we don't know how that could potentially work with all of the overlapping protected area and conservation mechanisms issued for that zone, for this particular area. What will also really stand to lose is already a globally acclaimed project for reforestation and restoration that demonstrates what can be done in record time to resolve the climate crisis. And considering that climate action is supposed to be, one of the pillars of the BBM administration, we're hopeful that they could lend their support to this cause and that they'd be able to put their foot down. We're hopeful with General Tapang, he's new in his role. We're hopeful that this admin will take it seriously, given that climate action is one of its pillars.
How were the conversations now with the BuCor, with General Katapang? Because I believe that there were reports of an attack on your rangers back in 2021. How is your team's safety?
Oh, it's been quite dangerous for us in the field since then. That's why we've always been calling for that oversight committee to be constituted, because it doesn't have to be this way. We have been in this area complementing government's financing gap, monitoring gap on the ground. And we can definitely do more if we work together towards that end. It's dangerous for us each time there is this information shared by our leaders, insinuations about the legality of the memorandum of agreement, or insinuating that the joint venture agreement is canceled, whatever has just been thrown around without legal standing. These really embolden environmental detractors on the ground to do something illegal. So the most recent attempt happened immediately after the congressional hearing, where we heard certain undersecretaries say that they are assailing certain components of the memorandum of agreement.